Now you get to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, hey, all the Lightning seem to do is get to the Stanley Cup final. They won two and, of course, lost one. Now, this year, Frank, a little bit of change because Palat, McDonough, and Ruda, Bogosian, some older guys are out. Myers, Cole, Fleury. Definitely, the depth on their blue line has changed for sure, right? But they've still got, Sergachev and Cernak, and, hey, Hedman's pretty darn good. So where do you come out on Tampa with, of course, I think, if not the best goalie, then the top two goalie in the NHL?
I don't see any drop off at all. I really don't. You're going to have a full year of what should be a much more comfortable Brandon Hagel. He came over at the deadline, and no matter what, it always comes down to this with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kucherov, Point, Hedman, Vasilevsky. Four of, I don't know, are we talking top 20 players in the game? I think all four of those probably fit in the top 20.
Pretty close, yeah.
So when you have pillars like that, and I'm not even including Steven Stamkos, who had arguably his best year ever, and then I say that arguably because he does have a 60-goal season, but he was unreal last year, 42 goals, 106 points. And then Kucherov just has this insane, sublime ability that even if he misses time, he comes back in like he never missed action at all and is north of a point per game guy in the playoffs.
Well, Kucherov's top 5 forward in the league in my books. So if he's not
Nick
top
Paul,
5,
so smart up front. You have him for a full year. I think Ian Cole is underrated on the back end. Like I know we're talking about missing McDonough. Cap hit wise, if you consider that, I don't know how big the drop off is really and what you get at the end of the day. It may not be sexy from Ian Cole, but from that group, when you go to someone like Cole instead, Chernak, I mean, he had
a hard defender to play against. So strong. Oof.
And Phil Myers is a big question mark for me. Got to watch him really closely here in Philly. Crisis of confidence. I was so surprised that a guy that had a unique buyout, that they targeted him for his skill instead of executing the buyout to get themselves more cap space. They would have been given a credit actually for this year for Phil Myers. And instead they signed him to an extension, one more year at 1.4. But the fact that his cap hit went from 2.5 to 1.4 tells you that there's been a huge drop off in his play, having gone from Philly to Nashville, now to Tampa.
Well, you know what, though? The biggest benefit he's going to have is there's no expectations for him in Tampa Bay this year, right? They've got their big name defenseman. And
I don't buy that for 1 second.
You think there's lots of pressure?
Well, I just don't think for a team that has cap space issues, like they don't have ability to say, you know what? Phil Myers, just go out and do whatever.
No, he can be a solid third pair defenseman, Frank, is what I'm saying. They're not asking him to play big minutes in a significant role. Just be good. And Jason,
I have questions as to whether he can be a third pair defenseman. And I think that's a fair question to ask.
Sure. But the point is, when you have Victor Hedman, it allows everybody else to slot in at a better spot for their talent usually, and then they play better.
100%.
Right? It makes it easier. And so if all he is a number 5, he's not getting paid huge money, right? So all I'm saying is lots of players, Frank, they go to good teams and everybody else is confident, right? And they're just like, dude, just, you don't have to do anything flashy on this team. And suddenly your confidence is just going to build. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has a solid third pair season.
Mm-hmm. So Cirelli's missing the start of the season. It was a 4 to 6 month timeline back in July when he had his surgery. So,
January.
An AC joint sprain. Those are painful. That's a big loss for that team. But, with some of their other guys potentially being more healthy than they were last year, hopefully, although it was another deep playoff run, I just don't see any drop off at all.
So are they third or do you see them higher in the division?
I think they could win the division.
Ooh.